honest reactions to this like Browns
I
win.
mean, the offense, I feel like it was the Packers. What? I think the Browns scored 13 points in the last 4 minutes of the game
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, you and I were texting. We're like, I was like, the Browns could do the funniest thing, and that would be to
Yeah.
beat the Packers. And then your reaction, which I think was pretty much everyone in the world's reaction, was, well, they'd have to score 10 points.
Yeah,
They
I didn't
barely
see
were able to do that. They were barely able to do that.
even with that implosion. I mean, that O line, the Packers O line looked horrible all day. The Packers defense looked good, but that Browns defensive front is good. Either that or the
Is there any
Packers O
worry
line.
to you? Because obviously earlier this week, like you had all these players on the Packers, like so confident already that they were going to be 17-0 at the beginning or at the end of the year. And then this is how they come back out.
Well, I will say under LaFleur, they have had issues coming off of bye weeks, which this was a long like what they had 10 days off.
Yeah.
So I think especially with the young team, after how everybody was talking about them coming off that Washington and Detroit wins, I feel like they were feeling themselves a little bit and maybe didn't put the best week into practice because they're like, oh, it's just the Browns, which the Browns have played both their opponents tough. They played
Right.
Joe Burrow with the Bengals tough, and they played the Ravens tough up until the end. So maybe this Browns defense is a little better than what people think they are, and can keep them in games. I mean, Love didn't look too bad outside of that one pass.
Love, and I've said it before, and we all know what I've said. This team's only going to go as far as Love took them. If you can't score on a team like the Browns, which I'm not saying their defense isn't good, I will also say it's going to be very tough to score on a team like the Eagles
Yeah,
or
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, if this is how the Browns front four is getting to them, just
the
imagine the
Rams.
Eagles. Yeah, or the Rams. Like, I understand your all pro right tackle went out on the first play, on the second play of the game, if you count the kickoff.
Yeah.
And then I think your top free agent signing went out, Aaron Banks, and Morgan and Belton didn't look great. Morgan, yeah, Jordan Morgan looked horrible that game. I think he had 3 or 4 false starts, and he was just getting beat. So
So then
it's
where are you like where are you on the trust level of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur?
I mean, I trust them. They their offense was looking better. They just couldn't finish drives. They couldn't get the. I feel like it's a lot of teams are trying to focus on stopping the run game because I feel like that's how the Packers offense is powered. Like if they can get the run game going, it feeds off the play action and can keep and get the offense going. Which yeah, but
So
I think it's
the re
just
oh
it
yeah.
didn't. It's their first bye week. Still the youngest team in the NFL. I think they'll come back against the Cowboys and have a better performance next week. I think, especially what you came off of 2 emotional wins, had a little bit down of a week, and I feel like next week's going to be emotional again. Then you got to buy. Then you got the Cincinnati Bengals. So you get a couple. Hopefully, they can get a couple wins in there and get back on track.
So Green Bay is a and like the Milwaukee area in general is a lot like the Chicago area when it comes to their personalities on air, like
Oh,
on
are
the
you talking
radio
about
waves.
Homer?
So I'm gonna play the 27-second clip. This is the reason I asked you that question. I just want to know what your thoughts are because this is on ESPN Milwaukee by your guy Homer,
Yeah.
talking about Jordan Love. And let me know, let me make sure that you can hear it.
You cannot trust Jordan Love. I don't care if they're paying him $100 million. I don't care how good you think he is, but you cannot trust him. That is done and over. You must recognize one of his weaknesses, and there are other strengths, is his ability to do incredibly stupid things, and you cannot give him the opportunity because the next time it happens when you do, it's going to cost you something way bigger than this.
So
I
what is your
mean,
like what's your thoughts on that?
So I did hear Jordan Love's post game interview. So on that pick, he thought that they because earlier in the game they ran the same play to Wicks where Kraft was running, and earlier in it they were running man, so he thought they were going to run man. He's like, that was just a good play by their safety. I mean, you probably shouldn't have thrown that ball, but if you thought, because I think I saw the play and I'm like, they were all huddled right by the line. It didn't look like anybody was deep. I'm like, if he held it for a little bit longer, I think Kraft would have scored a touchdown on that play.
I think that the Packers are going to need to take a long look in the mirror. And that's not a bad look in the mirror to say, like, oh, the season's over. It's definitely not, obviously. But clearly, your team is not as good as you think you are. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. And I actually like what Micah Parsons said post game, where he said, like, it's very hard to win games in the NFL. Now, should we have probably won this game? Yes. But he goes, it's very hard to be an undefeated team and win a Super Bowl. He goes, even good teams lose sometimes to teams that they shouldn't. I don't I like what he said. I don't love what he said because it almost sounded like he was like, okay, it's gonna happen, which deep down you can say that you know that, but that fresh after a game, it's almost like I don't know if I want my star player to be reacting this way. I kind of wish he was a little bit more pissed off.
I mean, that's probably how I'd react too if it was after a game. I'm like, shit happens. I mean, they they played the defense played really well. The offense didn't have a great game, but it looks like the Browns have a pretty good defense. And I think LaFleur struggles against like the defensive calling games against defensive coordinators like Jeff Schwartz or who's the other guy that was he was the Bills DC for a while too. Or
Leslie
like the
Frazier?
Vic, yeah, he struggles against Leslie Frazier or a Vic Fangio, like defensive coordinators that have been in the league for a while, or like the Wade Phillips of the world,
hmm Dan
where
Quinn.
I think they see how a team wants to attack them and make adjustments. I think LaFleur struggles a little bit with making in-game adjust or like at least getting the players to make in-game adjustments. I mean, he did adjust a little bit with the chipping of the edge rushers because Miles Garrett and the other edge, whoever was out on the other edge, was wrecking the game early on, and it did look like he was trying to get Josh Jacobs more involved, which and I don't think it's all on how he called the plays. That special teams for the Packers has always been bad. I don't know how you. I mean, let's talk about that crazy like 5 minute stretch there where there were three blocked field goals to end games.
Well, wait, because we'll talk about those other games too. Before we jump off this and go to a break, I do want to act real quick, just say something about the Browns. We mentioned how good this Browns defense actually is. Like, they have something to build off of there. And yeah, you won the game close. I feel like if you're the Browns, you need to put Dylan Gabriel in tomorrow.
Yeah,
Joe Flacco looks like he is a corpse of himself.
well, it doesn't help that I think what both their starting tackles were out, and I think possibly a starting guard. No, no, yeah, Batonio left early, so I think both teams were without 3/4 of their O line in the game.
I get that, but like he looks so immobile and he looks like there's no reason if it wasn't for all those calls in the end zone, that the Browns shouldn't have easily won this game. Like he got bailed out by calls. And I mean, I'm not saying they were bad calls for once. But if you play a team that just defends well enough, there's no way he's scoring 10 points, 13 points, whatever it was.
Yeah,
Like
I didn't
he
think there
looked
was a,
awful.
and if Love doesn't throw that pick, I don't think this game's even. I don't think they even have a chance of scoring a touchdown.
I think at one point, I think even you said game.
Yeah, when they went up 10-0, I think at the end of the third quarter, I was like, the way they're playing, I don't see them being able to drive it down the field two times.
I think if you said like what would happen first if this game continued, like the Packers score up to 50 points or the Browns scored 20, I think I'd still go Packers.
Yeah.
Like they didn't move the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
Judkins looked fine, but like it's almost the reverse of what other teams have, where like you run the ball to open up the pass game. They need to pass the ball to for teams not to just load up the box because they know what's coming.
yeah, I mean, Judkins looked it took him a while to get started, but he looked pretty good at the end, which I was a little bit surprised at how bad the Packers run defense was considering how good they were against the Commanders and the Lions, but yeah, it's one
But
game early on. I feel like they're such a young team, they'll learn from not to I feel like this is good early on to be like maybe we shouldn't be overlooking teams no matter on their record.
well, 2-1, the Packers move on. You guys get the Cowboys next week, I believe. So
Yeah.
I think there's also a possibility they were looking past the Browns. Because everyone knows that that's going to be a big game where Micah Parsons returns.
Yeah.
And honestly, with how much the Cowboys got hurt today, I have a feeling this could be a really ugly game again for the Cowboys. But we'll see you guys on the other side of the break where we'll talk the rest of the noon games, and then I'll be waiting for the Bears talk.